This topic, it just comes at the very point in time where we need to listen to it. And suicide is just intentionally inflicting harm to yourself to the point of death.
I'm of the opinion that the figures we have of suicide, especially today, does not capture the real picture of the suicide numbers.
Suicide is an act of ending your life. But to that point of ending your life, there's a lot of hope that is lost. There's a lot of things that is lost deep within that point where you're even thinking, I should not be here. Why am I here? Why am I leaving? You've questioned your literal existence.
Before you commit suicide, it first begins by your mind.
I think one of the biggest warning signs will be the words somebody uses, how they express themselves, their choice of vocabulary.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Christian Abbey Podcast. Today we are doing our episode 2 of season 4 and we are so excited for this. I'm your host today. My name is Doreen. With me I have amazing guests and today we are going to talk about a very catchy topic. We are talking about mental health. Previously we have talked about mental health awareness, we've talked about depression, but today we are talking about suicide. So without taking much time, let my guests introduce themselves. Welcome.
Hey guys, my name is Peter. I've been here before. I'm here again, and I'm here for a purpose and a reason. Yes, stay blessed.
Hi guys, so my name is Faith. I've also been here before and it's a pleasure to be back here discussing about this very catchy topic, as our host has said, on suicide and mental health. Looking forward to an interesting conversation.
Hi everyone, Dennis here. I've also been here before, almost like all of the rest of our panelists. I'm glad to be here. This is one of those podcasts that you really need to just cut off all the distractions that you're having and listen to it. Don't assume about this topic. It's a very heavy, some of us would say pregnant topic. It's a very delicate conversation that you're going to have today. So you're invited. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we are going to get into this. And if you're it's your first time watching us, let me just kindly request you to follow us, subscribe, and I hope this blesses or encourages you. Let us go into this. Yes, before we get to suicide, I would ask Faith, why are we talking about suicide? What is leading us to talk about suicide?
I think suicide in the now is on the rise. That's one we have seen on the news. We know a friend of a friend. We know a neighbor. We just know someone that has committed suicide or even attempted to commit suicide. So with this topic, it just comes at the very point in time where we need to listen to it. And suicide is just intentionally inflicting harm to yourself to the point of death. That is suicide. And with the current rise of suicide, we can see that there's a lot of things that are going on, and we can't particularly point to one thing that's causing suicide. We can't say that this one thing is causing suicide. There are a myriad of things that can cause suicide, just like the mental health disorders. Well, suicide is not a mental health disorder, but it's one of the symptoms of a mental health disorder. So we can say there's some sociological factors, psychological factors that lead someone to committing suicide. And of late, we've seen a lot of, relationship issues that lead people to commit suicide. People who've been left by their husbands, wives, boyfriend, girlfriends, and this leads. It's very tragic, but I think they just don't know how to handle all that rejection, and it leads to committing suicide. Another one is like problems at work, financial problems, mental illness, which is in most instances, a lot of depression patients end up committing suicide. So those are some of the factors that causes suicide.
Okay. You have anything, Dennis?
Yeah. So I'm just going to backtrack a little bit on what I said earlier. This is a very heavy topic, and most of us, by default, tend to assume that it does not concern us. Because most of us come from a place of, you just think of the word suicide and you're like, I know, I don't think I don't have any intention of committing suicide. I don't think there is anyone around me who has the intention of committing suicide. And you keep carrying this assumption until now this calamity gets to your doorstep. So I want to believe that most of the cases, officially, the numbers we have, the figures we have, for those of you who are interested can go and do some research. I'm of the opinion that the figures we have of suicide, especially today, does not capture the real picture of the suicide numbers. I want to believe some cases are not reported or are not classified as suicide, which should be classified as suicide. For example, you hear stories of so-and-so was just found in the house dead. So you find such a case they might easily assume maybe he was unwell, and then they just say sickness or something. But when maybe, we don't know, but in reality, perhaps the guy maybe committed suicide. So it's a very important topic, and I think it's something that we need to take with a lot of keenness, and we need to let's not, I am just attacking that back mentality that this does not concern me. I mean, it's none of my business. I don't think I have any plan of committing suicide, or which is true. Maybe you don't, but having such an information can be important for you in case you encounter a case in future, or you start identifying the signs, which I'm sure some of them will be mentioned in the course of the podcast. You know how to handle it, how to approach it, how to deal with such a person. Yeah. So,
Victor, you have anything?
Okay, for me to say, suicide, we realize suicide right now in society where we are in. This is one of the things that are affecting almost everyone, be it the youth, be it the aged, the people that are in the middle there. So we're here to discuss how to avoid, or how to avoid and not get that point where you think about suicide. The more important things that you can do than thinking about suicide, because if you think about suicide, that means you don't have a reason for living. And all of us, we have a purpose. As I began, I said, I'm here for a reason and a purpose, a distinct purpose. So all of us have a purpose for living. So we are here to help you so that you don't think of it. Okay, you don't get to that line. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so we are going to talk about, let's just mention some of the misconceptions that we often hear about suicide. Yes, we can start with you, Faith.
I think there are really a number of myths that are around when it comes to suicide. And for one, just to acknowledge how suicide and suicidal thoughts are very confusing, they're frightening, and they're very lonely to the person who is experiencing it. So we should just start by taking note of that. And towards some of the myths, they include that, if you talk about suicide, if you talk about suicide, now someone will commit suicide, Yeah, like now, when you bring up this topic, people will be like, no, it should be like swept under the rug, don't bring it up. But literally, once you talk about this, it offers a safe space for someone to open up, especially if you've given someone that space where they can open up. They feel like, oh, okay, maybe I can show this person my heavy thoughts.
Yeah.
They're really heavy even to them. They don't know how to process it, because suicide is an act of ending your life.
Mm-hmm.
To that point of ending your life, there's a lot of hope that is lost. There's a lot of things that, is lost deep within that point where you're even thinking, I should not be here. Why am I here? Why am I living? You've questioned your literal existence. So giving someone that space where they can be able to talk about, that I have been having these feelings, I've been going through such and such a thing. It's such a relief for them. They know that someone hears me, someone understands me. So that's one of the myths. Yes, if you feel like someone is going through a really hard time, it's okay to ask them, are you feeling suicidal? or do you have thoughts of ending your life, it won't trigger them to now go ahead and commit suicide, but rather the opposite. It will provide a literal safe space for them. So we should just take note of that.
Yeah.
And also another myth, maybe I can just add before I let my fellow panelists, thank you, talk about, is that suicide has people use suicide has been illegal for a very long time. So people use the word committed suicide. And with suicide, we have to be like really careful with the wordings we use, because it's a very tragic event, even for the relatives who've remained, the sister, the brother, the friend. So you can't say committed suicide. So we are trying to bring up language that is less stigmatizing, died by suicide. It's a form of death. So we are not to say they committed suicide. Committed is an act of illegalism, of which it's not illegal. Someone died by suicide. So we're trying to destigmatize this issue of, suicide, just to give the relatives, the friends, just a safe space to open up and talk about it without having without having the harsh and the tough feelings regarding the same event. Yeah.
Victor, you have something?
For me, what I say is that most of the people think that people who commit suicide are youths or teenagers, because they think that they are the only people who have a lot of issues. Because before you commit suicide, it first begins by your mind. Beginning by your mind, that means you think that there's nothing you can do. There's you don't have hope. So most of the people think that, as I said, most of the people think that people who commit suicide are teenagers and youths, and that's a misconception. Another thing is that before you commit suicide, most people think that this is not something that's not formed in the mind. I was listening to Miles Monroe that day, and he was saying that before you commit suicide, you must have planned for it. It must have begun by a thought. And someone who commits suicide, there's a note that they usually leave. If I die, make sure this, make sure my family, or make sure that this is the password for my account. So you realize some of the people think that it's not something that usually triggered. So that's that for me. And in summary, is that there's always a solution for it. Always have hope and be optimistic with life. That one will sort it, and we'll be good.
Dennis, any other?
So I can just add on what they're saying. She has mentioned one misconception, and from it we can get another one. So she said it is assumed that when you talk about suicide, people tend to go now and commit suicide. On top of that, it is also assumed that the people who talk about suicide most will not commit suicide. That is like anybody is eligible to commit. Anybody is a candidate. I know we are going to base this on our faith later, but before we get to that, anybody is a candidate of committing suicide. So there is that misconception. There's another misconception that there are no warning signs to suicide. And I want to believe there are warning signs. People give warning signs. There are signs that you can tell about someone that is about to commit suicide.
All right. You've mentioned a very nice misconception that there are some warning signs that you would see with someone who is suicidal. So I would like us to just mention a few of those warning signs, just for people to know.
I think as we've all said, that there are warning signs, and as Victor had said, like suicide is planned. It's something that it does not happen today, and you have committed suicide. it's a series of events to that loss of hope, to that loss of, of something to hold on to in life. So some of the warning signs that you can see even in yourself. So here we're not even talking about other people that you know, even yourself. Just evaluate yourself. Lately, have you been, especially about social distancing, like you don't want to relate with people, you're keeping to yourself a lot, and it's okay to keep to yourself once in a while, but now this is out of the normal. Like people just generally annoy you, you don't want to be around people, you want nothing to do with people, you just want to be alone.
Yeah.
That's isolation and withdrawal, which is the major one. Now the others can be, majorly with depression. Suicidal thoughts is one of the symptoms. So it also comes with how's your sleeping pattern? Are you sleeping too much? Are you sleeping too little? It comes with with what's it called? With the, have you been feeling like extremely sad and extremely there is normal sad, but there is just extreme sad that you as a person you feel like you can't handle. Have you been having those feelings? And then also, have you been having feelings of hopelessness, that you can evaluate in yourself, that you don't have anything to look forward to, there's nothing that interests you, you've lost interest in the things that you used to like, that you used to do. Those are just some of the signs, warning signs. Victor and Kim can add.
Okay. Victor, you have any other?
Let me say one. So, before you commit suicide again, it's something that's planned. So, the warning sign is that if you don't have a purpose, let me say so. If you don't have a purpose and a reason for why you are living, definitely you'll ever lose hope. And the warning sign here is that make sure you have something to do, so that you don't lose hope. If you lose hope, and that is it. There's more in life than suicide.
Yep.
So
true.
make sure you have a purpose in life, and make sure your life is in focus. Because if you lose that, then definitely we'll have no other reason for living. And if you don't have other reason for living, okay, let me use this as an example. Judas and Peter, both of them, they had a reason to die. And also, they had a second chance to be forgiven. Sawa. But Judas chose the permanent the permanent decision. Instead of asking for forgiveness, what he did, aliamua kwenda kujua.
Yeah.
After how do you call it? Kumpeana.
After betrayal.
Betraying
Yes,
Jesus.
after betrayal.
Yes.
So for Peter, baada ya kumkana Yesu mara tatu, he went back and asked for forgiveness. Judas, he had the same chance. So this is it. We always have a chance. All of us have a chance. We have a second chance. So don't ever think about suicide.
Yeah.
You have a chance for living.
Yeah.
And you have a purpose that God has prepared for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I can just add. But before I get to the warning signs, there is one very important misconception that we didn't mention. It is assumed out here that people who are, let me use the word threatening to attempt suicide are attention seekers.
Yeah.
This I have personally heard this in very, let me say, famous, like very well-known people in well-known podcasts saying that the people who they're threatening to commit suicide are attention seekers, that they should just be let go, they will do nothing, they are just seeking attention. But I think if somebody mentions something as serious as suicide, it's just as serious as that, in my opinion. So that is a misconception that it's important we capture. So the warning signs, again, it's I think one of the biggest warning signs will be the words, the words somebody uses frequently, how they express themselves, their choice of vocabulary. There are certain vocabulary that when somebody keeps using all the time, repeatedly, every time you meet, hii life ni ngumu, hii life ni hard. Like there is just not even a drop of positivity. Then that is somebody who needs to be watched closely. I'm not saying all of us at some point get to a point where we feel like, okay, things are not moving, but it's not all the time. Like 24/7, we are just confessing hopelessness and despair, and we start saying things like, oh, we are people who are dead are better off, and things like that. That is a sign that somebody is in a hard place and they should be watched closely. Another warning sign that I can say is somebody just neglects themselves in terms of their physical appearance. You just see somebody who used to dress let's say decently, all of a sudden he has just neglected himself. He's just wearing whatever he feels like wearing. He has just left his hair to just grow wildly the way it wants. Like there is no effort such a person is putting to keep themselves decent. That is a sign. And another sign that I can say is when you see somebody giving away their priceless possessions. If you see somebody just for no reason to, is just offering to give you, it's like they're signing out of life.
Yeah.
You see how in there's this story that is told in 2000 when we were turning to the 21st century, that there was the belief that the world was coming to an end, and one of the things that people used to do is give away their properties. Those who believe they are going to heaven, they'd give away their properties so that not they go to heaven clean. So when you see somebody giving away their not any, okay, you can give anything, but there are things that when you give, we start it raises eyebrows, because you're like, now how will you survive if you give away that, this and that and that? So yeah, I think those are some of the warning signs.
Okay. Yeah, we have mentioned a couple of them, and we are not saying that now when you start leaving your hair to grow, you're suicidal. No, we're just saying watch out for these signs. You could be there and umeachanisha nywele zako and you're saying, so I'm suicidal. No. Watch out to.
I think there's an extremity to it.
Yeah.
There's a hairstyle that is just ragged or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there is just this is at least for people who are doing it as a hairstyle. You can see in the rest of or whatever, there is something decent about them.
Yeah.
But this is somebody who just doesn't care about the clothes they are wearing, whether they took a shower or not, whatever, how long their nails are or whatever. It just doesn't bother them. It's none of their business.
Yeah. So basically, just watch out for those warning signs. Yeah. And I also had one misconception that if somebody is suicidal, there's nothing you can do to help. Have you heard of that? Yeah.
That it's the end, you can't change their minds.
That you can't change. I believe that that's a myth. Like, we talk about this so that we can bring out hope. Just like Victor said, bring out hope.
There's nothing that's permanent, and there's no problem that cannot be solved.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe if there's someone suicidal, it can change. Somebody can have hope
help
again. Yeah, they can
need.
get help. Yeah. Now talking about help, what are the organizations, or what are the hotlines that people can look out to seek help when they are having the suicidal thoughts? Yeah, Faith.
Yeah, I think there are quite a number, and I'm sure they'll be posted, they'll be linked to the bio. The very common one is Red Cross, which has like immediate like help towards the person experiencing or having these suicidal thoughts. So we have Red Cross, we have Befrienders Kenya. I really haven't gotten their number of head. We also have like the toll numbers. We have 100. We have, I think, if it's at 811, those are like free toll numbers where you can call and just report yourself or report someone else who's going through this. But they'll definitely be posted on the bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think, I don't know, I've not done enough research, but I also want to believe those numbers should be anonymous. Like if you reach out to those numbers, I don't think they should be able to, unless you want to disclose. For example, if I want to, I have observed, not me, but someone else, having suicidal tendencies. So I'm wondering if I say I want to call this number, I want to believe it's an anonymous tip whereby they will not tell them it is I who told them that so and so has suicide. So yeah, I want to believe those numbers should be anonymous. So don't be afraid to reach out. Not only when you are experiencing suicidal thoughts yourself, but most importantly, if you notice a friend, a relative, a colleague, anybody around you showing these signs that we've talked about, and maybe other more signs. Don't know if Victor maybe.
Yeah.
As Faith said, the help centers are anonymous. So just during this time that you're watching this video, make sure at the bio there, just scroll down, you'll see all of them, and you'll be helped. I know most of us go through this. At some point, suicide is not about just killing yourself. Usiseme kwamba I'm not in that line. So make sure you check at the bio, and you will be helped, or you can help someone who is in need of that.
Yeah, so we will put them down on the description. You can always search them and find the help that you need. Yeah, I don't know if any of us has an experience that you can share, any experience you've had, or any experience you personally or someone you know that has had an experience with suicide. Maybe one of us can share.
Yeah, so I was actually just before the podcast, I was talking to one of our panelists, and I was mentioning to them about a friend of mine I had in high school a few years back. So this and the reason why this experience stands out for me, it's because this first of all, obviously, it's because it's somebody I know, and secondly, it's because the issues that were, in my opinion, I'm not, I don't know, I can't really say that I'm a professional psychologist or anything, but in my opinion, from that story, the issues that could have been the causes of him trying to do that are issues that almost all of us at some point in life have faced. So this was a friend of mine in high school, like I said, and he, first of all, his parents were divorced, so he was torn between his mom and dad. And we used to, you know how in high school most of us are happy when it's closing day, when it's half term. We just can't wait. For this friend of mine, it was the opposite now, because he loved being in school more than going home, because the environment that was going to greet him at home is not what most of us are used to. You know, the warmth, how was school and everything. So because first of all, he didn't know whether he should go to his dad or go to his mom, and if he called either, he would be instructed to go to the other one. So if he called his father and say, we are closing tomorrow, he'd be like, okay, you can go to your mom's place. And then he calls his mom, and and the mom is like, you can go to your father's place. So these thoughts, I think, got to him. And then there was also issues of who is paying school fees. So he was when they send us again. We also love those being sent away for fees. We loved, I don't know if high schoolers nowadays still do, but back in the days it was like an outing, being sent for school fees. But for him, again, that was stressful. He'd rather run around the school with the principal just not to be sent home, because he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know whether to go to his father or his mother, because one is it's like both of them were pushing him away. So the thing I can note about this guy is he was very intelligent. So if you went and looked at the merit list, you won't think that he would get to a point of committing suicide. In fact, his performance was most what the rest of us were dreaming of getting. We were like, I wish I could be like you. How can you get maths A or whatever? You're getting an A in maths, and the next person, the closest person to you, has a B plus. Like, he was just very intelligent, and it's consistently. So most people I can say in my class used to admire his performance, but I knew his inside story because we were desk mates, and I used to feel so bad for him. So these are just the day-to-day issues of life that we face in our day-to-day lives that can cause one to get to a point of maybe attempting to commit suicide. And on that note, I can just give I don't know if we will talk about how to mitigate it or whatever, but I can just mention that it is when we are growing up, there is a certain level of tolerance to hardship, for lack of a better expression, that you can develop as you grow up, because it is no secret that the world is a very hard place to go. It doesn't matter what status of society you could be. Sorry, I've heard stories of I know even you guys had it. I think it was a dean or a senior lecturer of some school committing suicide. So most of us would imagine that is somebody who has reached the periphery of their career and they have everything going on according to their what they had. So what reason could they possibly have to commit suicide is the question that would be at the back of most of our minds. But the truth is, I think there's a certain level of hard skin that you're supposed to develop, again, for lack of a better expression, as you grow up, because it is almost inevitable that life will keep throwing blows at you. So for you to have a stamina that will enable you keep going despite what is coming your way, there is a certain level of other people would call it adversity quotient that you're supposed to have, your ability to withstand calamity, storms, and tough times. And also, you need to get closer to Jesus.
Yeah, so true.
So important.
Yeah, just that brings up the thought, that people really go through a lot of things. It's not written on their faces, it's not written anywhere in them that you can see, but deep down, like, people are really struggling. People are going through different hardships, and it's so hard to understand. It's so hard to understand what someone else is going through, since someone who won't just come to you and start opening up to you. I'm going through this and this. They have to have gotten to a certain level of trust. I can tell you about this, and I feel safe telling you about this. So now, even just to emphasize, like, his story, just kindness, because now it just came up, and then the kindness is just an everyday thing that you can practice, because people's struggles are really different, and you can never pinpoint, you can never tell. Their faces won't be written on, like, the problems people face. So I just emphasize kindness from that story.
Yeah, in fact, just to add on what he's saying, it could actually, there's this saying that they say looks can be deceiving. You can look at someone and think everything is going on well for him, that there is nothing, that this guy is maybe is driving, whatever, is Every morning he gets to the office with coffee. You are waiting for the company to
Don't
provide.
judge the book by its cover.
Yeah.
that is. Okay.
Yeah, looks can be very deceiving. Most people, you see them. There's somebody.
Smiling.
Yeah, I was.
After all-
Yeah, I was listening to somebody say, maybe, you know how, and this is a problem, and please don't stone me. This is a problem with our ladies. You just find somebody, maybe they are staring at you, or you think they are staring at you, but at the back of their mind, in that stare, they are lost in thought. They're just thinking, I've not paid my rent. My son is home for school fees. Maybe my roof is leaking. My car is broken down. What am I going to do? What is happening with my life? And this is somebody who is wearing maybe a 15,000 shilling suit or something. So don't like she has said, kindness. Just be kind to people. And this is for those of us that are Christians that can understand this, because this, in my opinion, is the biggest lesson that Jesus was teaching: love, compassion. He emphasized throughout his ministry, love one another, love your neighbor as you love yourself. There's actually a portion of scripture, I think it was Luke 19 or something, where Jesus goes to a city. He just stands at the gate of the city. Just, I think I don't really know what he saw, but he just looks at the way the people are living or something, and he just begins weeping. Because of what? Compassion in his heart. He just had a certain warmth for people that he felt. And while I'm on that thought, I'm also beginning to think that one of the biggest suicide heavens should be the church. Because the church is supposed to be where people get warmth, where people get accepted, where people get loved, where people come when things are not going well for them, they can find hope, which is a very good commodity to deal with this suicide or whatever.
Yeah,
So I think I can encourage us, all of us, even those of us who think, who believe maybe you'll never get to a point of committing suicide, by just being warm to your friend, just being kind to them and nice to them, can really go away in helping them as far as this is concerned.
Victor, you have anything?
I'll say the next point or the next question.
Okay. All right. So we have talked about some experiences. We have highlighted on the kindness, on the loving one another, being kind, because you don't know what someone is going through. Okay, then. So I would like us to talk about how can we help now as the church, because here we are youth from Agape Church, and we've been talking, and our podcast is just to encourage. And it gets me to this question of, what are we telling our brothers and sisters out there who are suicidal? Yeah, what can they do to curb this situation? Yeah, Faith.
Before Faith says anything, let me say this. A church is a facility where most of the people come here so that they may be healed, both spiritually and also the society, let me say so. So people who have, first, before you are helped, you must accept that you're in that state. You're almost committing suicide. You must accept that the level where you have reached is like you don't have hope anymore. So first we have to accept, and if you are there and you are in that state, make sure you admit. If you admit, you'll be helped. Another thing, these group meetings that we have in our churches, be it the wazes, the youth, the mamas, the teenagers, watoto, they really help. So when you come to church, make sure you don't rush home after the service. Make sure you attend one of the groups so that in that group, in the mingling, at some point that interaction, it will create some bond. Na kama ulikuwa na suicidal thought, it will at some point, there's a percentage it will go. It will go, yes. The more you attend these meetings, you are being encouraged. The relationships that we are building here, they will help you. It will give you a purpose not to do that. Another thing is that, so as a church, we must make sure that, of course, in society we are having a lot of these people, even in the church, people in the church.
Yeah.
So the only help or the only hope that we have is God. And make sure you read the word, right? Make sure you read the word. Make sure you pray, and you have a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
At some point you might be helped, but kama hujaamua wewe mwenyewe, it will be hard for you to come out of that. Yes.
Wow, that was nice. Faith, you have anything?
Yeah, I think as we're talking about like helping, let's say we've started with like helping yourself. If you're in this situation of having these constant suicidal thoughts, and thoughts are not something that you repress or that you run away from. These are things that will constantly be there. If you know, I don't know if I've said this before, but if you're told don't think about an elephant, that's the thing you will think about. It will just immediately come to your brain. So that's the thing about suicide. You know, someone wouldn't want to think about this uncomfortable thing, but it keeps on coming up. So what do you do when this thought keeps on coming up you as a person? So as you know, the other panelists have talked about church being a safe haven. So the church providing, you know, as a space for you where you can come and, you know, find that relationship with, you know, with a church member, find that, you know, find that friend in church, find that person who you can trust and open up to, you know, because I feel like this is the place where someone will encourage you, you know. Mostly I would assume that, you know, someone would encourage you and pray with you, especially if you're a believer. So it will help, at least you will have found that person, that's, you know, someone you trust, and you can tell them how you're feeling and all these things, because that's really important. Finding, you know, someone you can talk to. Number 2, you distract yourself. Once these thoughts come, thoughts again are very constant. So if you are at home just seated and these thoughts strike you, just don't sit there and be like, you know, just go away, your thoughts, I'm not thinking about you. They will come again and more strongly. So find something else to do. Take a walk. If you like cooking, cook. If you like watching, watch. Just distract yourself from that particular thought at that point in time. And then also seek help, because it can go all the way to the extreme. Seek that psychological help that you need, you know, for you to get that release of the emotions. It's the heaviness, it's the hopelessness, and it's the allotness of everything. Now everything comes down to you at a go, and you feel like life is unbearable. So now that you need to talk to someone and try and figure out, you know, what am I feeling? Where are these feelings stemming from? How can I handle this feeling? It will be just a series of help for you. It won't come at an instant. We won't be like, you know, for me, we deal with students, and nowadays we see a lot of suicidal tendencies, and we are sure that, you know, even if we tell you today, we won't tell you don't think about the suicidal thoughts. They will keep on coming, but we'll keep on offering this help, you know. And once someone opens up to us about suicide, the first thing we'll do is we'll sign, you know, there will be a safety plan, just to ensure you don't take a step further to harm yourself as a person, so that we can now continue the treatment, knowing that at least there's that contract made, that you have made between me and you, that you won't harm yourself. So seek that psychological help. It will just open your eyes, and it will lift those heavy emotions that you are feeling at that particular point in time.
Yeah, and just to, first of all, I thought maybe the good lady would say set aside a whole day to cry, because I've had people advise so that if you just feel overwhelmed, this is not me advice, I'm just saying what I've had. I've just had people say that I don't know if is that a thing.
Or like sitting aside
A whole day just to cry and just to let go.
Oh,
Right.
okay. No, that wouldn't be very much
That's not permanent solution.
advisable. It's okay to cry. Cry if you're feeling the heaviness of it all. But I would just advise you cry and call someone and talk to someone. Just talk to a friend. Just call someone, and even if you're talking about general things, just that social contact will give you the comfort of it probably isn't that bad, because in that aloneness of crying, it will come, even the thoughts are still there. So just, yes, cry, but after that, go back and think about who can I talk to right now. I just need to talk to that one person who I'm sure will listen to me. And I'm sure for most of us, at least one person, atakama hamtrust 100%, your 40% too, it will lead you to calling them and talking to them about your current state and how you're feeling.
Okay. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, and which I don't mind, I'm going to say what everybody else has said. You need to believe in something. You need to have faith in someone. You need to have hope in life. And all those things that I've just mentioned are found in church. I know. I have read memes. I've heard people say that you find people in, for lack of a better expression, in clubs or bars being more kind than people who are in church. But that has not been my experience so far. Perhaps there is such a case. Perhaps there are churches where people are treated with a certain level of coldness. But from my experience, I've found a family in church. I have found friends in church. I found people that have encouraged me. I found people, and even just by sitting down, listening to sermons and all kinds of things, I get re-energized to keep going on. So church is very advisable, but most importantly than church is supposed to be a means to an end that is supposed to lead you to the real person who will help you, which is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sure.
Because you can come to church, you can go through all the programs and everything that you need, but if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, chances are excellent that you can always find yourself going back to a place of self-pity, depression, and all those kinds of things. Church is just a means to an end. It is just to point you to the right direction where you can get help. And then finally, this is just my own recommendation. I don't know how it is done.
As an elder. As an elder.
I don't know how it is done. I don't know how it is achieved. And I've mentioned it before. It is just so important to walk on the face of the earth with a certain level of toughness. You know, right now children are being raised in an environment or with a style that just pampers them. They are raised to be very delicate individuals, and that is very dangerous for someone who is living under the sun, because when you every single day, there's always something that is thrown at you. Whether it actually gets to you or not is not the question. When you read the Bible, I think it's in 1 John somewhere, it says the whole world lies in wickedness, and it doesn't give a reason for it. It is just as plain as that. Somebody was asking me, why would someone do this to me? Why would someone? And I was telling them, sometimes there's actually not a reason. It's just they are human beings. You are on earth. It is like it's, I don't want to say a normal thing, but it happens. So as you walk on the face of the earth, there is a certain stamina you're supposed to have, and especially in your mind, because things like suicide and these things, they start as thoughts. In fact, I dare say everything starts as a thought, whether it is good or bad. So, like she has mentioned, distract yourself. She has said distract yourself. I want to believe that what you allow in your mind is what is going to grow. There's when you read Philippians chapter 4, I think 6, 7, around there, it says, it gives a list of things, whatever things are pure, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever. And then it says, think on these things, which means you can actually select what you think on. And that what you think on is what will grow.
Yeah, actually, we are sum total of everything that we allow or that we allow to get into us. So if you decide or if you allow to bad things to, or if you ingest bad things, then definitely gets the results.
Yeah, I think just to talk about one more thing. If someone comes to you and having these heavy thoughts of suicide, it can also like take a heavy toll on you because someone has trusted you with this thing that they're going through, and maybe you as a person, you don't know how to react at that point in time. And just you don't have to have anything to say. As long as you're there, just listen to them, empathize with them, just be able to let them know that you're there, you're listening, and whatever help they need, they will get it. They will get it. Maybe not from you, but there will be other channels too. And it is also important to ask them if they've told you that they have these suicidal thoughts. Do you have any plans? Have you made any plans to go forth with this? And if they have a plan, that is a very high risk thing that you have to make sure that this person is with someone at that point in time. Even if someone is on, like someone called you and is telling you, I have I'm going through this, I have the suicidal thoughts, I even have a plan. Make sure you don't leave that call until someone is with them, especially if they're alone. So just constantly be in that call with them, because it's a cry for help. It's a cry for, it's a distress call. So just make sure you are with them at that point in time, just to hold them together. And for yourself, after that, it's very easy. You can seek help for yourself, because at that point, my friend called me, alikuwa na plan ya kwenda kuruka from 3rd floor. And you're like, that is a lot to handle. Actually, even yesterday, my friend was telling me, like, there's a friend of his, there's this lady, they met in church. So now this lady called this person to go to where she is, because now for her, in her thoughts is, I'm thinking of going to climb like the stairs. It was to what level? I think it's 4 floors. She wants to climb up and she wants to jump down, and this was like last week. So now he was telling me how this friend is feeling like distressed even himself, because he doesn't know what to do. So it can be like really a lot. If you yourself, you feel like it's a lot on you, just refer this person for the support they need, because they need someone they can trust.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just a minute. Just to add on what Faith has said.
All right.
Another thing that I advise people outside here is be selective. Selectivity is key. And what I mean is that be selective on type of price that you have. If you know where you are going, you definitely know the roads that will take you there. And if you don't know where you're going, definitely you take any road. So let's be selective and pray, read the word, as I said, and also hear from God. Because if you are on God's side, nothing will go on a mess.
Amen.
Yes.
We believe.
I know this is a Christian Army podcast, and we must mention God in it.
And we have pastors here.
Yes,
So
Amen.
they have to.
Pastors are here, and we are proud to have you in this
In attendance.
discussion.
Yeah, we are so grateful. I've actually learned a lot. It has been a nice session. And if you're there and you're thinking, maybe I'm going through this and I need to speak to psychologist, Faith here is a professional psychologist. You can just comment there, request to speak to her. We always have a number below. You can always reach out for any kind of help. We have our youth pastors here with us. You can also reach to them if your question is directed to our youth pastor. Yes, you can always reach to them. It has been a blessing to have this discussion, and I hope you're encouraged. I hope you're blessed. What we are leaving you with is that know Jesus. Let Jesus be your personal friend. Yeah? Just know Jesus and have faith and believe in Jesus. He will not let you down. If you're a new person watching us today, kindly subscribe it will go a long way because we'll be encouraged to put out more content like this. We are so happy when tukiangalia pale tunaona wamefika 100 subscribers. We are so happy. By the way, guys, next Thursday we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary podcasting. What are you guys saying?
Wow, time flies.
I need to be there. Where's the party?
We will be celebrating. There will be a party. Of
make
course,
sure
there will be a
where?
party.
Send me a G cake.
Wow, yeah, it's been God. Yeah, we are saying this is the doing of the Lord. We are so happy, and we'll be celebrating with you guys. You have made this happen for us. This is the Christian Abby podcast where faith meets the realities of life. Thank you so much. Till next Thursday. Bye bye.